Welcome to the show. Got an exciting one here for you. We are talking about the top five, count them, top five fantasy football wide receivers for 2025. Going to lay them out for you, counting from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 and the number one receiver for this season. This is the very early list. I'm just out here having a discussion with you so you guys have a better understanding going into this NFL draft, kind of who the top receivers are as we get ready for fantasy football 2025 here in early April. Can you believe it or not? It's going to be the draft this month, and I can't wait. We are so close. And then after that draft happens, it's like things start really moving fast. It's going to be fast-paced. So if you love fantasy football, if you love Truth to Sports, if you love NFL period, make sure you guys subscribe, turn on the bell, smash thumbs up. Appreciate you guys being here. It means a lot to the channel just to hit that thumbs up and drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the analysis when we go over these 5 wide receivers. Now, the sad thing about wide receivers for me when I do these lists is I don't end up drafting a wide receiver early anyway. Last year, I ended up drafting at the end of the first round, went Saquon, came back, got Derrick Henry, then went Josh Allen. So I didn't go wide receiver till later. And, you know, you were getting value for guys like Brian Thomas Jr. who are on top and stuff like that. You were getting them in like rounds 9. And I remember clear as day because I was the only one saying it. That's why I remember they had Christian Kirk ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. last year in the rankings. That's why I'm like, rankings don't work. And I was telling everybody, screaming at the top of my lungs, grab 16 rounds, grab the solution. It's going to help you guys crush your leagues. I'm screaming again, grab 16 rounds. I've linked it below. The code ends tonight at midnight. There's a code called EARLY, EARLY, saves 25%. Get it. You can pre-order right now. And the first release of that comes out. I released the first video in there in regards to the layout of all the optimal players, comes out about 2 weeks after the NFL draft. So everything on a silver platter, 16-round draft solution. I've linked it below, okay? All right, let's talk about this. Let's have an open discussion here on these top 5 wide receivers. And again, I'm telling you, I personally wait on wide receiver because there's wide receivers for days, but there's only a handful of good running backs. So you really don't want to, waste a pick on a wide receiver that could potentially bust in the early couple rounds when you could have been securing the most scarce position that is the running back. So let's go through it anyway. My 5 here, which is going to look different than if you look at like the consensus rankings. That's okay. It's going to look different. Now, the guy we'll get to number 1. He's probably going to fall out of the number 1 spot, which I'll talk about, but I got him there anyway right now. I'll explain it all, okay? But number 5 here, I got Malik Neighbors. This guy, listen, first round pick, 6th overall last year in the draft, right? Absolutely amazing year. I mean, for a rookie, he was number 2 in targets. That's what I love to see when you are looking and scouting out wide receivers. You got to take a look at the volume. This is huge because even though wide receivers are labeled wide receiver 1s, they are still in somewhat of a committee now. Now they got these wide receiver by committees. It's ridiculous. Now you've got Russell Wilson, which is an upgrade at quarterback. I think he's good enough to feed the ball to Malik Neighbors consistently. Malik finished 6th last year in fantasy points. Like I said, number 2 in targets with 170 targets, 109 receptions, 1,204 yards, 7 touchdowns. I still think there's way more room to grow. I think his Instagram name was like Can't Guard Malik. Listen, seriously, he is really, really good. And then now he's got a veteran quarterback feeding him consistently. There's no reason why this guy doesn't finish top 5. Last year, immense value in drafts. You were getting this guy typically coming off in round 3 was the average draft position. You're going to have to pay more. You're going to pay a first round as late as an early second round to get Malik Neighbors on your team in a 12-person, 1-point PPR league. He's going to be expensive. And this is what I'm talking about. You got to find the value at wide receiver the year before. And last year, Brian Thomas, McConkey, great value guys, right? You're going to have to pay for him this year. So it is what it is. Malik, if you want him, you got to pay. I'm personally going to miss out on him. I'm looking at running backs early, okay? And I've just been doing a bunch of mock drafts. Go back and watch a couple. In the first couple rounds, we're finding a nice split now. It used to always be more majority wide receivers the past couple of years. Now, running backs, I would say the first 24 picks, 12 of them are running backs. So people understanding the scarcity of that position and the importance of the running back, which I've been preaching for years, okay? So number 5, I want to talk about Malik. Again, I'm just having an open discussion here. This isn't necessarily a rankings list per se. Now, these guys could, in theory, if none of them get hurt, finish in this order, like as top 5 guys. So again, it's more of a conversation, a discussion of guys that could potentially finish top 5. I don't like rankings. Rankings don't help anybody. I like drafting the best possible player I can get in that round without just copying and pasting rankings. Okay, like last year, CMC, I told you to avoid him. He was the first overall pick. If I'm drafting at the 101, I was fading in CMC. He was not the best player to draft. I knew that a decline was coming. And that's where 16 rounds differs from like your typical rankings, okay? And my thought process. Number 4 here is Brian Thomas Jr., sitting number 8 on the Sheep rankings, finished 4th last year. Now, you're saying copy and paste, Joe. You don't do that. In this case, it looks a little copy and paste. I think actually Brian Thomas Jr. could finish as the top wide receiver. He's got the Trevor Lawrence problem. I was watching some tape recently. Apparently, Trevor Lawrence is working on his footwork, which is, hey, man, Trevor Lawrence, you need all the help you can get. If you can work on your footwork and improve, amazing. Do that. Finished 4th last year, did Brian Thomas Jr., 133 targets, 87 receptions, 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns. Love to see this out of a rookie. And remember, like I said, everyone had Christian Kirk ahead of this guy last year. I was telling you, draft Brian Thomas Jr., got him in one of my dynasty leagues. He is expensive. He's going to be a first-round pick. But if you want, actually, no, sorry, he might be like a second-round pick, I would say. But he's still going to be expensive. You're not going to give him the 9th round like you got him last year, which, it just bothers me when like you see the value and then the year after everybody's riding the train. But listen, the guy's great. He's proved it. He's dynamic. He's outstanding. He's got great hands. He's reliable. He's a clear-cut one in a world where wide receivers are, like I said, becoming in committees now. And, there is no clear one on some teams where you're still trying to decide who the wide receiver one is. And it gets a little sloppy where you got couple mid-tier guys, like 1Bs, a bunch of 1Bs on a team where you're getting a clear 1A on, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, he's great. He's young. He's got everything you need. Okay. Number 4. Number 3 here. Last year, he was the consensus number 1 across the board. And I was telling you, man, like there's going to be a decline, right? If you look at it, the guy I'm talking about is CeeDee Lamb here. I looked at his stats last year in 2023, actually, 403 fantasy points, right? If you look at the years prior, he never hit a 403 type fantasy year, right? And he fell off last year. He was number 6 in targets last year, finished 8th. He was not the top wide receiver, although he was being drafted as a top wide receiver. So as we go through this list, understand this. Like you're seeing history always repeat itself that like when a player has this astronomical year, it's unlikely he's going to finish on top. But CeeDee Lamb could actually now finish on top because he fell down last year. So it's like think of it as a chart, man. Like he had this amazing year in 2023. He dipped down. So naturally he's going to be trending up, especially if we get a healthy Dak Prescott this year and they address the running back situation, which I don't think they will. I think, I don't even think Genty's going to fall to them at 12. Right? We're going to talk about that. There's a whole thing going on now from what I'm hearing. We're going to go off on a quick tangent here. We're talking running backs in the NFL draft. I'm hearing that Breece Hall might be traded, or I'm also hearing that they want to run a 3-headed monster there, that the Jets might be interested in Genty. That would really piss me off, right? Because Breece doesn't need another running back there, and Genty doesn't need to land on a team that has Breece Hall. So much going on, man, where these coaches just don't care. They want to run the committee, and that is just destroying fantasy value. So anyway, back to number 3 here, CeeDee Lamb, great talent. He's due for a good year. 152 targets last year, 101 receptions, 1,194 yards, 6 touchdowns. Still productive at 263 plus fantasy points, but he just did not duplicate that 2023 year. He did not have that year. Could he get back to it? Unlikely to get to the 400 mark, but you're going to get a 300-point fantasy year out of CeeDee Lamb if he is healthy. I got him at number 3. Number 2 here. The last 2 are definitely in position to lose their spots. I've got them here as more of a courtesy, as kind of where they're going to come off anyway, where people are going to draft him. They're going to draft him as a number 1, number 2 receiver. But I got number 2, Jefferson. But I'm telling you right now that a decline is very, very, very possible for both this guy and the number 1 guy. 154 targets last year for Jefferson, 103 receptions, 1,500 plus yards, 1533, and 10 touchdowns. Number 2 in fantasy points. Jefferson doesn't have a quarterback at the time of this recording. I just don't trust J.J. McCarthy. Now, some people say, well, you should because, you got the alpha 1 receiver and Darnold was able to feed him and it's a system and the system could constantly feed Jefferson. There's no doubt about it. But I sometimes don't trust certain quarterbacks that I haven't seen play consistently, right? So while Jefferson is a great player, he's consistent, he does it in fantasy every single year, the quarterback makes the wide receiver. And the fact that I don't know what's going on right now, if J.J. McCarthy is going to be the guy or what they're going to do here, I don't know. So that being said, there's talk about Aaron Rodgers ending up there. Like, I don't know. The uncertainty right now makes me question it, but you could say almost safe to say that no matter who's throwing the ball, Jefferson's going to get the volume, just about how often and how consistently. So, listen, I still think he's a top 5, barring any injury, but he won't be on my team based on how expensive he is. Okay, number 2 and number 1 here. Now, typically, I always say this is very important. Saying that, I say, the guy that finished on top last year is not going to finish on top again 2 years in a row. I called this the year Cooper Kupp in 2021, was having this pinnacle year, and he was graced every magazine and every cover and every podcast and as the number 1 receiver. And I'm like, no, that was an anomaly year. Cooper Kupp's not that good. I can't say that with Chase. Chase had a great year, 403 fantasy points, similar to what CeeDee Lamb had a year or 2 ago. And, 175 targets, amazing. Number 1 in targets. Love to see the target share. That's crucial. And he's still young. Now, he did just get paid huge dollars. The offense got paid huge dollars. Between him, Burrow and Higgins, I think they're getting paid like something like 120 plus million a year between just the trio there, which is absolutely insane, which means he's going to eat. It's just, is he going to stay healthy? I think so. I think that's going to be fine. But it's always like, there's got to be a slight regression. 403 points is just astronomical. 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns, 175 targets. I mean, Higgins was a little banged up. Is he going to stay healthy? If Higgins is in the full mix the entire season, then maybe a little less target to Chase a little bit of regression in targets there. Bottom line is this: safe as they come, young, strong, one of the best receivers in the game, and he got paid well. Now you can say he's got a full belly. Is that, is he going to lose his hunger? Still think he's good for a couple of years, man. Receivers are a little different from running backs in a sense that, with running backs, almost guaranteed they don't duplicate those numbers. But we've seen receivers have multiple good years, guys like Antonio Brown in the past and other receivers that have had good years. Chase is one of those guys that could be really, really solid. Now, Burrow's had his share of injuries. Is he going to stay healthy? That's a big question as well. Who knows? Who knows with any of the players staying healthy? All you know is that when you're looking at targets, when you're looking at talent, when you're looking at opportunity, Jamar Chase is the man. Period. Done. So we got Chase, we got Jefferson, we got CeeDee Lamb, Brian Thomas Jr., and Malik Neighbors. Amazing receivers, just great talent. Amazing stuff. And they're sitting at the top 5. Let me know what you guys think below on this one. I'm just getting over a cold. Don't mind me if the voice sounds a little bit off today. Let me know what you think. I'm just going to keep the conversations going here. Subscribe, thumbs up, grab the 16-round draft solution, turn on the bell, keep the content rolling. And yeah, man, I'm just pumped. I want to see this NFL draft. I can't wait to see where these players like Genty land and even where these quarterbacks land, like Ward and Dart and Sanders and stuff like that. I want to see where they land. I'm just curious. I just love the NFL draft. Omari and Hampton, another running back that I'm really looking at. Caleb Johnson. So many good players coming out of this draft. Landing spot equals fantasy relevance. It's going to be exciting. So if you guys want all the answers, grab 16 rounds, use code EARLY, and I'll keep the content rolling for you. Subscribe, thumbs up, turn on the bell. We'll talk soon. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this brief episode, and we're going to keep the conversation rolling on this channel. We'll talk soon.